Welcome back. You're watching Newslink. Advertising agency Dentsu is committing to investing 30% in black-owned media companies, but the Black Billboard Owners Alliance is not happy. Let's find out why. We've got the organization's Siphosihle Mbuli, who joins us in studio, and thank you for making the time. And let's start with that very question. Why have we got a little bit of unhappiness when it comes to that particular statement?
So Dentsu is the first media agency in the country to commit to spending 30% of their yearly budgets on black media owner. The BBOA is incredibly ecstatic to that and excited to be a part of the massive budgets managed by Dentsu. The issue is how and where our unhappiness comes from is the management tool that they've opted to use. The particular management tool, Marketplace, will take 12.5% of that 30% and give it to a gentleman who doesn't own billboards, who is not a black media owner, who wouldn't have had to pay for any of the income or issues that our black media owners would have to have faced. And that is just something the BBOA doesn't think it's fair, because when you look at it, that means only 17.5 of this 30% will make it to the pockets of black media owners. And on top of it, black media owners are the only media owner group that is being subjected to using this particular platform. And it's something that we just don't think is fair. So while we commend Dentsu and we stand in solidarity for them and we're proud of them and excited for the announcement, we just think the tool and the way they've chosen to manage it is not something we can stand by.
Let's speak about the way that they chose to use this particular platform that you've just described to us. Was there no consultative process with operators within the space to say this is the best platform and this is how black media owners will benefit the most from this particular announcement?
Well, I think Dentsu has great intentions, and intentions that the BBOA has been advocating for a long time. We want to see budget commitments. We want to see them coming to black media owners. I think in terms of how they're going to manage it is where the struggle comes in. The BBOA wasn't consulted. We have sent a letter to say we don't necessarily agree with Marketplace being the tool, and we want to engage on other ways. I mean, the BBOA is launching their own application that gives you access to our billboards that are across the country. But in terms of consulting BBOA and other black media owners, that's not something we've seen.
Yeah. So ideally, what is it that you would like to then happen? Because obviously it is quite a big space, but it is dominated by players that are not black, if we're honest. And the opportunity to grow black media practitioners in the space is quite important.
I think we are more than willing to engage on various ways that this could be managed. This 30% is not a small 30%. Yeah. Dentsu does manage a few massive budgets. But the BBOA would like maybe the use of their own platform, but maybe a forum that allows everyone to come engage, open briefs to known black media owners and companies outside of the BBOA. As much as we'd like to say that this is a wild industry, not a wild industry, a wide industry, we have to acknowledge that there are some members and some companies who've existed for many, many years and who are black owned and are known for being black owned. So briefs to meet those media owners and briefs that engage the media owners who are black owned, right? I think what we cannot do is allow for 17.5% to reach black media owners, because again, this is not something that white media owners are going to face. This 12.5 is going straight to a gentleman who hasn't invested in the industry as much as our black media owners.
So if they choose to stick with the platform that you've just described to us and not use BBOA platforms or services, for example, what negotiation would have to come about when it comes to the percentage that goes to that platform and the percentage that would go to black media owners?
That's a tricky question, right? It's a very challenging question in that Dentsu is not the only agency, right? Dentsu is not the only agency, and they do not manage the only budgets, right? BBOA is not the only black media-owned alliance. Well, it is the only black media-owned alliance, but it is not the only black media owner out there. So I think two things would need to happen. We need to engage Dentsu firstly and ask them and propose various ways. But two, a strong negotiation will need to take place that it can't sit at 12.5. I think it needs to sit at 0, right? We can find ways to work around and work together as Dentsu and without Marketplace, without 12.5 being taken away from black media owners, because we commend Dentsu. 30% of their massive budgets is going to change some of our members' businesses, some of black media owners' businesses across the country, right? It just cannot be in a way that's going to benefit someone who isn't a media owner himself, who doesn't have a structure out in Grayston or in Ekurhuleni or in Vereeniging.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, this also brings up issues around transformation within the industry, and that perhaps being set back by the decisions of this nature.
So I think decisions, when we speak of transformation is a challenge, I think in all industries. But we need to be making decisions that make sure that we're not taking it back, as you've said, and we need to make sure that the decisions are reflective of the landscape, right? One of the reasons that many agencies go about and say we need a platform to manage black media owners is because they claim that there are many black media owners out there, right? That's racist and simply not true, right? As the BBOA, all our members are vetted and we've seen their structures. We know our structures. Our structures are owned by our members. We have lease agreements with our members that show that they own these structures, right? So to say that we can't manage all black media owners is not something that's true. So when we speak about transformation, we need to go all the way to the beginning. And then we can then speak about, okay, how do we get to this point where we allow for platforms to engage black media owners that honestly have their inventory?
And then just a final thought from you, what is happening at the moment? Have you, as the BBOA, approached Dentsu since this announcement was made? Have conversations started? Are proposals being put forward?
So absolutely, we sent a letter to Dentsu commending them, because this is commendable.
Yes.
They're the first agency in the country to do this and take such a bold step of such a massive amount of budget and say we want this to go to black media owners. We've written a letter to them saying we'd like to engage on how we can make sure, and what the BBOA also offers is a monitoring aspect.
Yes.
How can we make sure that this 30% is going to black media owners across the country and not just BBOA members? We are yet to hear back. I understand that running agencies and running budgets isn't something that is very easy and so we're waiting to hear back, and we're waiting for the meeting where we can sit and say, here are alternatives. Here are alternatives not only just for BBOA members, but for black media owners, which are not many across the country.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've been speaking there to the BBOA's Siphosihle Mbuli about the important issue of transformation and really just what needs to change with some of the challenges that still exist within that.